morning and welcome to part 3 of the Shaker Stool. Today we're going to clean up the legs a little bit, or at least clean up the leg a little bit, and maybe we'll add the seat. Let's see how it goes. I'm going to look at the, this is where we left off in part 2. You'll notice if I look at this from the front view, things go below the floor. And if I had the seat in here, you'd see that these stick above the seat. We're going to trim this off today. And I'll show you how we're going to do that. But first, let's look at the finished drawing. Let's look at the dimensions for the overall legs and what have you. Okay, the legs are going to come right to the top of this seat. For instance, if I take that seat in and out, you'll see the legs come right to the top of the seat. The legs are going to be 20 3/8 inches from the floor to the top of the seat. Not along its axis, but from the floor to the top of the seat. The seat is 1 3/4 inches thick. And what we're going to do today, we're going to level the legs like this and like this. And if we get time, we're going to draw the seat. Okay, so 20 3/8, 12.5 inches in diameter, 1 3/4 inches thick, and some more details. I've got them printed out, so I will tell you what they are as we go along. All right, let's go back to today's drawing. Now, last week we put all 4 legs in here. There's a good reason why we don't want all 4 legs at the moment, so I'm going to delete all but this one. So I'll delete that leg. And by the way, I want to delete the axis with it. I'll delete this leg and its axis. I'll delete this leg and its axis back here. And for the moment, I'll leave this one with its axis, but I'm going to turn the axis layer off for the moment. And I'll look at this in front ISO view. There's 2 things I want to do. First of all, I want to soften that line. So I'll go into Edit Component mode and soften this whole line. The Control key on the eraser. Move around here, make sure I get all of it. Okay, now I'll exit Edit Component mode for the moment. I'll come back in a second. And I want to draw both a floor and the top of the seat. So what I'll do, take the rectangle tool, come out like that. Extend this line along the green axis so it completely surrounds the leg. I'm going to copy it. Click it twice to get the face plus the perimeter, and I'm going to copy it using the Move Copy tool. I'm going to bring it up along the blue axis 20 3/8. All right, now that represents the floor plus the top of the seat. So what I'll do now is I'll explode this leg It's no longer a component. I'll add to the selection using the select tool and the control key. I'll add to the selection this surface and its perimeter and this surface and its perimeter. Now I'll go to Edit, Intersect Faces with Selection. Wait a moment. There we go. Now I'll get rid of that face, this face, get rid of those. Look at this from the front view. Use the same sort of select technique from right to left, but I won't come up to the red line, just close to the red line. And notice when I do, I select all the stuff I want to get rid of. Hit delete. Make sure I got a face on the bottom, and I do. Use the same select technique here. Hit delete. Make sure I have a face on the top. And I think I do. I do. Might be the wrong color. Let's just see. Yes, it is the wrong color. Let me check the bottom, make sure the bottom is the right color. Yes, it is. Okay, so now I have my leg. I want to make it a component. Call it leg. It'll probably complain that I've done this once before. And I'll say replace it with this new leg. Now I have to change the axis. And now I'll bring the axis for the leg back in to help me change the axis. I'll choose that point right there and the other point along that axis. And then I need to choose. There we go. Now I've got the correct bounding box. All right, now our leg is done. So here's what I want to do at this point. I want to create a center for this thing. Let me save this and go back to the finished one. And let's just look at the legs. No, let's see. What I want, I'll clear all and just look at legs. And bring in the axis. This one I apparently drew right over, yeah, this one I apparently drew right over the axis. So the axis must be the center here. And so what I want to do is I want to find that center. Well, if I look at the front view, the center of the legs on the floor is 12.5 inches, center to center, on their axis. And that's in both directions. And so the center of this thing would be 6.25 inches in. So let me use that fact, go back to our previous drawing. And what I'll do, using the tape measure tool, I'll bring a line over 6.25 inches, half of 12.5. Another line here, 6.25 inches, half of 12.5. And I'll take a parallel line from the blue axis and going through that point. Now I'm going to copy. I'm going to select this line here. Yep, select that line, copy it up using the Move Copy tool along the blue axis, 20 3/8 inches. That represents the top of the stool. Now I should have an intersection right there, and I do. So I'm going to come out from that point 6 1/4 inches, come down the thickness of the seat, which is 1 3/4 inches along the blue, come back along the red to the line, back up to where I started, and now I've got a face here. And I'm going to draw the profile of the stool on that face. Let me save this and I'll go back to the other drawing for a moment. And let's just look at the this is 12 1/2 inches in diameter. I'm going to draw half the profile, 6 1/4 inches. And what I'm interested in is this little detail right here. This little V groove that I will put on there in the lathe is 3/4 inch up. The thickness was 1 3/4 inches. This little semicircle down here is 3/8 inch in diameter. This one's a radius, quarter round, that's 3/16 inch radius. And with that, I can go back to the other drawing. So what I'll do, I'll bring 2 lines up, 3/8 inch. Three-eighths of an inch again. And by the way, so that second one is 3/4 inch from the bottom. All right. Now I'm going to bring a line over this way, 3/16, which is half of 3/8. And with the arc tool, I'll draw an arc here and here. That makes it a half circle, and I'll do another one here and here. Now this one, I'm going to delete this part right here. I'm going to delete these 2 lines and this line. Okay. Now I need to put a nick in here. So I'm going to delete this line, this construction line. And I'll bring one in, 1/16 inch. My nick is going to be 1/16 inch deep. And the nick is going to be 45 degrees from this center line. So I'll use my protractor tool, click here, click out here, up 45, click here, down 45. Now by the way, I'm modeling this nick just so it looks nice in the model. In the real world on the lathe, it may not look exactly like this. It'll be whatever your tool is on the lathe that you use to put a nick in here. But you'll put it at the right dimension, or at the right, at the right distance up from the bottom or down from the top. Okay, so now I can erase this line. Get rid of my guides. I don't want to get rid of the axis, so I'll take that off. And I'm going to erase these. There we go. Now I need a path. And the easiest way to do that is take the circle tool, come down here at this intersection, make it big, like that. Select the face, select the Follow Me tool, hover over this face and click. All right, now we got our seat. It happens to be the wrong color, that's no problem. I'll just triple click to select everything, right click and say Reverse Faces. There we go. Now I have my seat. I don't need this circle anymore. And I can always get these back. I don't need them right now. So I'll delete those too. And I'm going to triple click this, make it a component. I'm going to call it seat. While I'm at it, I'm going to create a seat layer. And I will put that with the entity info box. I'll put it on the seat layer. And since I only have one seat in the model, I'll give it the instance name of seat. There we go. So we got the seat taken care of. Now, the problem is we have to put 4 holes in here for the legs. Well, how are we going to do that? We're probably going to do it the same way we always do things like this, which is the Intersect Faces tool. So what we'll do, we're going to explode the top. And we'll add to this selection the leg. Now I'll do Edit, Intersect Faces with Selection. Wait a moment. Let's see what we have. Let's just take the leg out of here. We have 2 circles. One in the top, one in the bottom. Get this extra little circle down here. I'm not sure what that is. Oh, that's part of my leg, which is telling me that there's a problem with the leg, and I'm not sure what the problem is, but let's bring it back. I'm suspecting that accidentally somehow some things got on another layer. Let's do the triple click test on this leg. We'll triple click it. And notice I've got a blank here. Let me look at my entity info. I've also got a blank for layers there too. All the primitives for the leg should be on layer 0, so let me put them back on layer 0. How they get off of layer 0, I'm not sure. But that'll take care of it. Now I can get rid of the leg. Let me put it on layer 0, or put it on the legs layer. And now I should be able to get rid of the leg. And it comes back and goes. The thing about, this is the diversion. All components should have their primitives on layer 0, even though the component itself is on another layer. For example, the leg is on the legs layer. But its primitives, if I triple click, its primitives are on layer 0. That should always be the case with all components. If you ever find that it's different, or if you ever find that you can't choose the appropriate visibility box and make things come and go, you can suspect right away that things aren't on the correct layer. Let me choose all of these, by the way. Notice they're not all on the same layer. Not all the primitives are on the same layer. So let me look at the entity info box and put them all on layer 0 right now. There we go. Now the primitives are all on layer 0. If I triple click them again, notice this says layer 0. Okay. Now here's the problem. Let me get rid of the leg. Look at this more closely. I want to get rid of that face. And I want to get rid of the one on the bottom. But I notice when I do that, I've just got a hole. I don't have a surface. Unfortunately, the intersect faces doesn't give us the lines inside here. So I'm going to have to add them manually. There are 24 of them because there's 24 edges. So I might as well get at it. I'll start adding these. This will take me a bit of time. Notice when I do it, I get surfaces. I'm going to do this offline because all it is just adding lines like this. And I'll come back when I've got it done. Okay, I'm back. And I still have a few. I want to make a point. That's why I left a few to do online. I can do this because the circle is made up of a bunch of lines. And the circle gives you endpoints of those lines. Also gives you midpoints, but I'm not interested in that. It gives you endpoints. So I can do this because I can click on these endpoints and connect them between the two circles. By the way, these are not really circles. If you look at them real close, they're ellipses because the leg is coming through at an angle, cutting the surface at an angle, forming an elliptical shape. All right, now I've got those in there. What I need to do is I need to soften them. No problem. Take my eraser tool with the control key, soften them up. By the way, the Pro version of SketchUp has a tool that allows you to create these holes in one click instead of what I'm having to do here, which is use the intersect faces tool, then create all the lines, then soften all the lines. All right, now that I've done that, I can either make this a component at the moment and call it seat. But since I got to put 3 more holes in here, I don't want to do that yet. I think what we'll do at this point is call it a day. It's almost a half hour long, this video. And next week I'll show you how to get the other holes in here. And so for the moment, we'll just make this a group. Okay, I'll see you in part 4. Have a good day.